Welcome to my first time homebuyers bootcamp. This is video one of a 5-part series where I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about the home buying process. The number one comment that I get from first time homebuyers is that the process feels really overwhelming. It feels really intimidating. They feel that sometimes they don't even know if they can afford to buy a home just because prices and interest rates have gone up so much. So it is really my goal in this series to educate you and inform you and give you all the tools that you need to ensure that you can work towards home buying. So this first part of this series is all about assessing where you are and potentially where you need to be prepared and ready to buy a home. So I have a list of questions that I want you to ask yourself, and it's important. So pause this video, get out a journal and write down the answers to these questions because I think they're very helpful in helping you determine where you're at with home buying. Question number one is, are you actually ready to buy a home? And so a lot of people feel like they just should buy a home because perhaps they're of a certain age or a certain relationship status and they feel like it's just something they should do. But I want you to really be truthful with yourself if it's something that you actually want. And I always just want to caveat this with is no one actually ever feels ready to buy a home, but I want to make sure it's something that you actually want. So only move forward with this if it's something that you say yes to and it's something that you truly want for yourself. Question number two is all about finances. I want you to get really comfortable with your finances because they will be really important in the home buying process. So I want you to sit down and open up your bank accounts and actually take a look at how much you have saved and how much of that savings you are comfortable to put towards a down payment as well as closing costs. So I do want to let you know that there are closing costs on top of a down payment. We will cover that in a later part of this series, but just so you're aware, I do want you to, come up with a number of what you currently have saved and see what that number and figure is. On top of that, I want you to come up with what is a comfortable monthly payment for you. Is it how much you're paying in rent? Can you pay a little bit more? Do you want to pay a little bit less? It's okay to have a range, but to have a general idea of what you're comfortable with as a monthly payment. Additionally, I want you to take a look at what your credit score is. If you do not know what your credit score is, there are tons of free websites. Make sure you're using a reputable one, but come up with a general idea of where you're at credit-wise. Having all of this information upfront and ready will be really helpful in a later part of the series when you start talking with a lender. Question number three is timeline. What does your timeline look like? So do you have a lot of flexibility with your timeline? Do you have a lease that you need to line this up with? It's also important to think about a job. So are you potentially getting a promotion, or are you potentially having to maybe move for a job and you don't want to buy and you want to wait to see if you're being transferred? And also it's important to think about how quickly or slowly you want to move through the process. Some of my clients love just go, 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 and they want to do it really quickly. Other of my clients like to really take their time in every step of this process, and they want to make sure they're fully understanding. So just know yourself and know how quickly or slowly you want to move through the home buying process. Step number 4 is determine your wants versus your needs. So wants and needs are not the same thing. So needs are the non-negotiables must have. So for example, a certain number of bedrooms, potentially a garage or a backyard, something like that is typically a need. Whereas a want is a very specific part of town, a fireplace, an extra bedroom, something like that. So write a list of wants versus needs, and it's good to have anywhere from like 3 to 10 of each and determine what those look like, and then start looking at properties within what you think is roughly your right price point and see how realistic those wants and needs are for the price point that you think you want to be in. And lastly, question number 5, my favorite question, is determine your why and your goals. So in this, I really want you to, sit down with yourself and are you buying a home because you feel like you should, or why exactly are you buying a home? Are you wanting to invest in real estate? Do you want to have a safe place to live? Do you want to put down roots here in Denver? It can be really overwhelming, the first time home buying process and the real estate process. So having a why to fall back on that you can, help pull you through when times are challenging, I find really helpful. So determine your why and determine your goals and how real estate fits into both your short and long-term goals. So that's all for part 1. See you at part 2.